All right. Here is a template that you can use if you need to start rounding numbers. Let's do some examples together. If we need to round, if we need to start rounding, and your question may say round to the nearest hundredth, well, first we need to know what the hundredth place is. Take a look at the screen. You can see a whole number is to the left, separated by a decimal. And then all the numbers to the right have their own placeholder. So you have the tenths, hundredth, and thousandths place. All right. And if we want to round to the nearest hundredth, we want to make sure that we utilize this area to essentially keep a number. Now here's what we can do. When we're looking at the nearest hundredth, we have to look to the right to its friend. Is the number to the right of the question place, meaning if the question says round to the nearest hundredth, you know you're working in this unit here. Hundredths place. Look to the right. Is this over 5? The answer is no. So now we're not doing anything with that. It's not over 5. It will not change its friend to the left. If it was over 5, it would increase this number. Since this 3 was below 5, we are not rounding. So if we were rounding to the nearest hundredth, again, this was our question, round this number to the nearest hundredth, this is your answer, 1.62. Okay, so that is rounding to the nearest hundredth. Let's do another example. All right, next example. How can we round to the nearest tenth? Well, let's do it. Let me give you an example, 3.49. Sometimes you don't have a thousandth place, and that's all right. But we want to round to the nearest tenth. So what area are we going to work with? Yeah, we're going to work in this unit right here, the tenths area. So for that, we need to look to its friend to the right. Is it above 5? Yes, it is. So now this is going to change to a 5. It increases by 1. Okay, so your answer is going to be, rounding to the nearest tenth is 3.5. Let's do another one. Okay. Let's round to the nearest whole number. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you, how can we round to the nearest whole number? That may be your question. Round to the nearest whole number. Well, what do we know? We know that our friend to the right will be the determining factor if we can actually round this number up or not. The question said, please round to the nearest whole number, so you know that you're working in this unit, this whole number area, which is to the left of the decimal. Is this number 5 or greater? Yes, it is. So now that is going to equal 3. We do not do a trailing 0. No way, because that is improper for nursing. High school math is going to tell you to do that. Not in nursing, because that 3.0 technically, because we have a decimal point, this can be mistaken for 30. and then you would kill your patient. Don't do that. No trailing zeros. It's 3. Okay? Let's do another one. Don't let the problems confuse you either if it starts saying, oh, let's round up this number, which is going to be an ml. Let me give you an example of that. So let's say the question is, let's round to the nearest tenth, which is going to be ml per hour, because we cannot, with the human eye, see, let's say 7.38. We cannot program the IV pump to 7.38 or 7.83. It must be at least to the tenths, or maybe we cannot inject in like a sub-Q or an IM injection. We cannot measure with our eyes 7.838 of a medication. Let me give you an example. 7.838. The question may express this in mLs. Don't panic. So here's the question I have for you. How can we round 7.838 to the nearest tenth? Well, yes, we can. We want to look at this area. If we need to round to the nearest tenth, we know we're working in this unit, the tenth spot, and we need to look at our friend, the 100 spot. Is it 5 or greater? No, it's not. This goes away, this goes away. Your answer is 7.8, and then you leave your mLs. That's fine. Okay? We don't care what this is, because again, we can't see this with our eyes in a syringe. We can see this in a syringe. Okay? We can verify this in mLs if it was a syringe order. Okay? Now, so your answer would be the 7.8, and you leave the mLs place because that's what the question might be asking you. Okay? But again, rounding to the nearest tenth spot, you have to look at its friend in the hundreds and see if it's a 5 or greater. If it's not, please disregard these numbers, as they will make your question, your answer incomplete or incorrect, and it is simply 7.8 because that's the 10 spot. Okay, now let's see, what else can we do? Again, 3 ways to get to Disney. If you don't like this way, that's quite all right. But there are some people who this may help. Let's do another one. How can we round to the nearest tenth? Because now we have a 0 in the 10th spot. Now we're freaking out because we've never had a 0 yet. Well, if we want to round to the 10th spot, we need to check out our friend in the 100th spot. Is it 5 or greater? Yeah, it is. So now this changes to 4.1. Okay? That's a way to do it right. If you need to work in the 10th spot, because that's what the question's telling you, round to the nearest 10th, you're going to say, okay, I'm working in the 10th spot. I need to look at my friend in the 100th spot. Is it 5 or greater? If the answer is yes, you increase this by 1, and it's going to equal 4.1. This is okay. This is the right answer. Okay. I think that concludes for decimals. Thank you.